the government's commitment to transparency descended into near fiscal confrontations, raising serious concerns about parliamentary discipline. In response, Speaker Alban Bagbin took the unprecedented step of suspending 4 MPs, a decision he has since rescinded. Before then, however, that singular action triggered debate about his authority and the growing cracks within the ruling party. Meanwhile, outside the walls of Parliament, Ghanaians have grown impatient. This new administration came to power on the back of promises to fix the economy, restore accountability, and reduce hardship. But where is the action? As lead advocates for government business in Parliament, the Majority Caucus is at the center of these critical issues. Is the NDC truly ready to govern, or is it already losing control? How does the leadership plan to restore order, regain public trust and support, and prove that this Parliament will be different from the last? I am Kemeni Amano, and I sit with the Chief Whip of the Majority Caucus. We'll seek no rhetoric, no excuses, just answers. This is Hot Issues, and my next guest is Honourable Member of Parliament Roxanne Nelson Dapiamepo.
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact act triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start is sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance, and Ugil Premier Fresh Natural Mineral Water, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
This is the show that brings finality to all the critical issues. It is the stage where all the facts are checked, issues thoroughly interrogated, opinions shaped, and debates settled. But over here, we do more than just talk. We resolve problems. We hold those in power accountable. We address all the key happenings in society, from politics to health to education to everything you deem important. And we will center the voice of sets the agenda.
Agenda now shows on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in...
My guest is the Honourable Member of Parliament for South Dai and the Chief Majority Whip of the NDC, Roxanne Nelson Dapiamepo. Honourable, you're welcome to Hot Issues.
Thank you, my sister. Good afternoon.
Right.
And a very special Happy New Year again to you.
Yes.
Well, I recall that when the truths of getting results through between 9th of December,
right,
and when government was properly installed on 7th of January, and thereafter things got heated.
Yeah.
And so we haven't properly
met since then.
So Happy New Year once more.
Absolutely.
And all the best to you this year.
I express same for you as well, and congratulations on being the Majority Chief Whip.
Yes.
Indeed. Let's talk about...
When my friends want to be more mischievous, they say, government chief whip. That's more onerous.
Oh, I see.
When they say government chief whip.
We'll go with that.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. Now, but let's talk about the work that's at hand, right? Your party controls parliament, so to speak. You're the majority caucus. But it's only been at least 30 days, about 32 days since the 9th Parliament was sworn in. We've seen the controversies, we've seen the chaos. Some have gone as far as to say that the 9th Parliament is not disciplined. Is it a failure on leadership?
Not at all. Not at all. It's rather a huge success that this Parliament and this party in government has chalked. It's never happened that a party that has contested government it's able to constitute its cabinet before 30 days. Before 30 days. It's never happened. And so when the MPP in Parliament are conducting themselves in a certain way, I think the generality of the people should appreciate what they are doing. Because they are not in opposition, and it's never happened that a government voted into power is able to constitute its government before 30 days. So that is the reprehension the base of their party hold against their leadership. So, but how can you guys allow these guys to constitute government before they are even 30 days old?
But there were maneuvering to be able to achieve that, were there not? Because you don't have
maneuverings on whose part?
Well, on the part of the majority, because you do not have your committees yet to set up. It's not true.
Hold on. Okay. It's not true.
Okay.
At least I'm in my 3rd term in Parliament, and it's never accurate that we don't have our committees in place. The formation of committees take a certain format. There are certain committees we call the critical committees. The critical committees are the business committee, the selections committee, the house committee. Those ones, they are constituted almost nearly every time Parliament is installed. And they are chaired by Speaker or the leadership. It is those committees that go on to conduct other businesses. So the way Parliament works is that the committees that are supposed to be constituted so that Parliament can function, they are done on the day of installation.
Right.
So, for instance, the business committee, because it's a committee that must meet to plan business for Parliament. Can you say that that committee is not constituted? So what have we been doing for 30 days? Or for the past 30 days? So it's not accurate that, our brothers, when they are pushed to the wall, they are minded to throw things out there to create the impression that things are not in order. But I have sat where they are sitting now for 8 years and saw how they did things. So everything is simply in order. In fact, the commendation must come to us for ensuring, with all these difficulties, in the midst of all this supposed chaotic difficulties, we've been able to get our ministers nominated appropriately so, communication appropriately conveyed to Parliament, referrals appropriately made to the appropriate committees, considerations made appropriate committees, appropriate reports prepared and laid before the plenary, appropriate reports.
I'm trying to understand.
Hold on.
Right?
These are very important.
No, hang on. I'm trying to understand when you say that the committees are in place. I
said the relevant committees.
The relevant committees are in place.
So Parliament is functioning.
Absolutely. Which is the one that you mentioned the select committees that are the committee of selection, or how do you call it?
Committee of selections.
The committee of selections. That's correct.
The House committee and the appointments committee.
But at the beginning of the appointments committee's work as well, we heard a lot about how subject matter people who were supposed to be leading certain committees were not available.
It's not accurate.
So then, there had to be an agreement to choose certain people to come onto the committee to be subject matter people.
Yes, because you see, the subject matter committees vary. So, for instance, if you have a nominee for the Ministry of Agric, you need to have the leadership of the Committee on Agriculture. All right?
And you don't have the Committee of Agriculture?
We don't have it.
Yes.
But we are guided by precedent. So the two caucuses, you see why I said that cannot be accurate? Because before the committee sits, the two caucuses would have submitted names. That for purposes of this hearing, which is the hearing of to interrogate the nominee for the responsible for Ministry of for Agriculture. These are our leadership for the committee, so ranking and deputy for Agric, and then vice chairman and chairman for Agric. I did that. And my counterpart on the minority side also did that. So if you are not certain of who was to become or were to become your ranking and deputy for Agric, why were you submitting?
But the bottom line is the actual committees don't exist. My follow-up to that is why? Why don't those committees exist?
Let me make this point.
Okay.
Because the committee formations take a bit of time. But per our own standing orders, which is contained in standing order, I don't want to bore you with the quotations, but because I have them filed away. Standing order 2177. 2172 speaks of the leadership of the subject matter committees.
Right.
The subject matter committees vary between select committees and standing committees. So, because they've not been formed, the two caucuses have so far relied on the MPs who served as chairman or vice chairman of those committees on either side, and then also MPs who served as rankings and deputy rankings on those committees. Now, in the event that the rankings and deputy rankings were no longer in Parliament, they themselves, like I have done in my case, identify persons, fresh MPs who could do that work. But the gravamen of the case they made, which fell short of what they did, was that they were questioning the locus. But the locus of the committee to hold its briefings or hearings is anchored in Order 2171, which constitutes the committee properly so-called. If I have your permission, I may have to.
Yes, go ahead, because I just got to that part as well.
Okay.
Let's look at it.
So Order 2171 reads as follows. The Appointments Committee comprises the First Deputy Speaker as chairperson, Minority Leader as ranking member, the Deputy Majority Leader as vice chairperson, the Deputy Minority Leader as deputy ranking member, and the following other members. So this is where I come in. A, Majority Chief Whip, and that's me. Minority Chief Whip, that's my counterpart, Anodompre. And 5 other members selected based on the numerical strength of the parties in Parliament. So if we take 2171, the standing membership of the Appointments Committee in Parliament is 11. All right? Now, that is not the end. Out of that 11, the majority will have 7. The minority has 4.
Right.
Okay. Now, let me refer you to 2177. There's something very interesting stated there. A member of the leadership of the House is entitled, now circle the word entitled or underline, entitled, to participate in the proceedings of the committee during the consideration of nominees for appointment. This provision makes leaders of leaders on either side who are not members of, who are not bona fide members of the Appointments Committee also become bona fide members. So that is why you will see the Honorable Habib, the First Deputy to Honorable Ano, always featuring.
Okay.
That is why you will see on the second deputy whip to Honorable Anodompre, Jare Sharif Ahmed, a lawyer, also featuring permanently. Because once they come to participate, they have every right, as I sit here, as a member of the committee.
Right. So I understand that bit, right? So if all of these things are in place, we also remember chairman say a lot of times, and not just chairman, but the ranking on the appointments committee say a number of times, this is not what we agreed on. This is not what we agreed on when it came to certain things that happened, you know, during the sit-ins. If there was no agreement or there was no maneuverings to ensure that President John Mahamed's appointees are vetted in record time, then why did we see so much chaos and disorder?
Now, the chaos and the disorderly conduct is attributable to one side. And I'm not able to hold brief for them, but I can explain. The explanation is that, one, they are receiving backlash, feedback. That's adverse feedback from their party people that, why, for instance, are you allowing the NDC people to, as it were, vet their nominees speedily with alacrity and all? All right? So what do? You must introduce a process that would drag the speed at which we are moving, that would at least, or as it were, protract the proceedings, not to progress with speed and alacrity. So I can understand. These are all politics. So because you see in Parliament.
So there was no agreement that let us have, you know, let us do this in record time, and then we will allow you to ask unlimited questions. Because we've had, you know, chairman explain some of these things.
No, can I say this?
Yes.
There's always an agreement before we meet, before you see us appear in public. We do what we call pre-hearing, that's in-camera meetings. And when we go for those hearings, we decide, for instance, how many nominees we should hear a day. These agreements we reach before you see it, because we just don't call the people. So you ought to understand that there's a certain structure, pre-public hearing structure and systems in place. So the number of people we must agree on to hear a day, even who we are calling, we are agreeing to hear, so that the clerk will write to those specific nominees so that they can also arrange their protocols accordingly, who appears first and who appears last. All those things are agreed upon.
So based on what did you agree that there will be an unlimited number of questions for ranking?
I am told that it reaches as far back into time as 1997.
So it's not new? It's
not new. But there's a reasonable levels to which that is taken. So that, for instance, if a ranking says, I have an unlimited number of questions, it doesn't take a year to do that. It doesn't take a month to do that. It doesn't take a week to do that. It doesn't take a whole day to do that. It could take, let's say, 2 hours. All right? But where the reasonableness of that stretches beyond the reasonable, now we are getting to jurisprudence, then questions will be asked. Like, for instance, if you recall, I asked of my own chairman, I think that there's a need for us to review this formula. Because where it is agreed that the ranking will have an unlimited, open-ended opportunity to ask questions, we should still be able to subject that to some reasonable limitations. Can the ranking, for instance, do that in, say, 3 hours without mentioning same?
Right.
Can the ranking have, for instance, 2 hours to do that without mentioning same? So these were my difficulties.
So there was no quid pro quo in that you didn't need something done, and so you presented something for the minority to also give up on something. So if that is the case, then it means that the majority had full control. It had full power of its control to have been able to prevent some of the things that happened. What do you think your responsibility was towards the chaos that we saw?
First of all, my responsibility was to prevent that from happening, and also to ensure that government business continued, as scheduled. Because you see, when somebody says that was not the agreement, agreement is not about what you say was or was not. Agreement is about what the language should be, what did the committee agree on? Not what we did not agree on this. It should be what was the committee's decision. Anytime they make, so a proposal and a counter proposal to them, when you make a proposal that, look, we have so many nominees outstanding. So let's vet 5 a day. Because to them, as soon as the number increases, it limits the number of hours they have at the disposal of the ranking to do his things. So where, for instance, on Thursday, I was insisting that we have 6 slated to be vetted. So it is those 6 that we must vet. Even though we had done 4, 2 were outstanding. You saw that I was insisting that the outstanding 2 ought to be vetted. So I asked Akando to sit, and I went to guide him. They won't hear it, because they thought that allowing the additional 2 to be vetted would mean 6 had been vetted for a day. And to their base, they wouldn't have done a good job. Right. So these are all politics that come to play, but people, they are not things that are pushed to the forefront for everybody to see. So as he himself would say, as the avant-garde of government business, as the chief whip, government chief whip, my duty was to ensure that the business rated for the day for the government got done.
So then you see, it brings me back to the point that this falls on, because you have a supermajority, as we have christened it.
Yes.
But it would appear that the NDC is not able to exert its control.
No, don't fall into that error of reasoning. Because at the committee level, we had majority. You saw us. That's why we were seated quietly. If you saw from all the videos, I'd ensure that my members, I ensure that they sat in the tumultuous events that happened. My members sat until when it got to a state that they too got up at a point and made a couple of heated arguments. But they never engaged themselves in the chaos, because the chaos was created by the other side. They simply said that there were only 4 of them, bona fide 4 members. They said that the vetting cannot continue. And in Parliament, if you disagree with every parliamentary procedure, you make your voice heard for the record, then you can step out to go and organize a press conference and let the public know what's happening. These were the things I went through for the past 8 years. I never fought anybody on the floor of Parliament or on the foyer of Parliament. You register your protestations, you go out, you go and hold your press conference, you do whatever you have to do, but you don't practically insist that there will be no vetting. You raise table. When the table was pressed down, you raise it again. You try to topple the table over. You pull electrical gadgets. No, that was not how we were taught that things were done.
So when you were in the crowd, what were you trying to do?
I was trying to prevent my colleague from Western North from being hurt by Tampuri. Right. Tampuri was pressing him. You know, his back was faced one of the tables. You know, they have pulled the first table apart. So he got fixed between the first table and the second one. And because the first one had been pulled apart, there was a crack, big crack as in space. So Tampuri was ensconced there with him. And I was standing by Akando, and I saw what was happening to him. If I had not gone to his aid and rescue him, he would have suffered some back fractures. I don't know what would have happened to him. So I went there, took him from the grips of Tampuri. Right. And then he held on to my fugu. Everybody saw that. And I said, my brother, we are both lawyers. We can't fight over this. If you disagree, you walk. He smiled at me, and then he let go.
But when you see the video, what thought process do you have about it as a lawmaker?
Well, first, it was totally avoidable. Totally avoidable. Because, you see, the minority had no business doing what they did. It was totally uncalled for. And they repeated the same thing the day after that. That's what tells me that it's as if it's something they planned, that where they disagree with us on any matter, they must create a chaotic scene.
I see.
On the,
is it only the
on the Friday, but for some who would have reacted, but some words of wisdom came to us that look, considering what happened yesterday night, these guys allowed them. So even on the Friday morning, when we're continuing with the vetting, they came. Even though they said they disagreed with the vetting proceeding, the disagreement was not conveyed amicably. They were still ready to create chaotic scenes. You saw the kinds of songs that they sang. If I'd asked my people that let's retaliate, let's confront them heads on, it would have led to a different matter.
Right. Let's fast forward a little bit. And, you know, one of the things that the minority had made mention of was that there were thugs involved in the melee that took place that day. Do you hold the same opinion?
There were no thugs.
There were no thugs.
There were no thugs.
It was just UMPs.
It was just us and some parliamentary staff. I agree that some nominees brought people to the presence by way of crowds to support them, as it were, not crowds to hurt anybody. But I never saw any tag. Anybody you saw, my attention has been drawn to the fact that there was one person who's been spotted in the video who is neither a parliamentary service staff nor an MP. Non-MPs came to follow nominees. I'm sure he must have got caught in the chaos and remained in the committee hearing room and got caught and maybe got himself involved. But that was about it.
Are members of the 9th Parliament indisciplined?
At all.
Then why are we seeing the things we are seeing? Apart from the melee we saw, some of you are not going to Parliament.
Okay.
It would take discipline for you to be able to go to your work every day.
Okay, I will explain that.
Okay.
The numbers that are not coming have been largely on my side, and the explanation I got to know is that some have been allocated their offices. They are trying to set up. Some too are trying to sort out their accommodation matters. You know, as I talk to you, I have about 181 new MPs in Accra.
Okay.
They are trying to settle. And look, when I came to Parliament in January 2017, things were tough. I encountered colleagues those of us who were even raised in Accra and lived in Accra and got the opportunity to enter Parliament. The first couple of months weren't easy. So I can appreciate those there are some who are now, this is the first time they are living in Accra.
Right.
A lot of MPs, look, Accra is not Ghana. So a lot of my new fresh MPs, this is the first time they are coming to live in the capital. So there are logistical difficulties.
But how long does it take for those logistical difficulties
normally
to be dealt with?
It takes about 2 months to sort those things out.
So we should expect that for 2 months, our MPs will not be going to
Not that you should expect that for 2 months.
Right.
But it's getting better. I'm sure the accommodation matters are being resolved. Office allocations, there are still, some offices are still being painted as I speak.
I see.
Okay.
I see.
We also have clear difficulties. Some offices, the air conditioners are not working on about 3 floors. I used to be on the 5th floor. My aircon didn't work for like 2 years. So I had to go in for a standing fan, which I used for the past 2 years. If anybody who knew my office knew that I had a standing fan, it was because my aircon wasn't working. So some of these people, they had some difficulties, but I can assure you that from about the end of this month, things will stabilize. People will have their offices. Attendance will be better. Accommodation, residential issues will be resolved.
But you know what happened last Friday?
Yes.
The chamber couldn't even make quorum.
Yeah, but I was leading. So if you're asking you are preaching to the choir.
To the choir.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but these things happen. It's something we call
that we couldn't get 92 over 275
Let me tell you what happened. Let me tell you about the Friday politics. We had 92 or more than 92. The minority told their members to walk out, so the numbers would dwindle, so they could rely on that to raise, we call it an Order 64 issue, which is quorum, and also Article 102 and 104 of the Constitution imperative. So it's a trick that we played on them. They are now playing it on us. But what was important on Friday was that we were able to adopt our business statement, which was the most critical business on the order paper. I have a meeting with my freshmen on Tuesday. That's we call them level 100 MPs. We want to meet them again on Tuesday and impress it upon them that no matter their domestic circumstances, attendance in the house, at least in the mornings and in the early afternoons, is very important. If for nothing at all, for the optics of it. You see, the generality of the people want to see Parliament functioning. In the afternoon, they appreciate that people will go out, in and out of the chamber to handle other businesses. But in the morning, it's important that they see as many heads as are requisite for business to be carried on.
I see. I do want us to also delve into the issue of public perception of the majority caucus. Is the majority caucus struggling to be the majority?
Not at all.
Perhaps you don't know how to be the majority. You are better at being a minority.
That is that's a fabrication. That's somebody's imagination of thinking that we are incapable of. We are truly capable of exerting our majority. Indeed, if we want to do that, then there will be no consensus building on any issue. But parliaments, no matter how dominant a party is, and no matter how slender a minority party numbers are, you still must build consensus on a matter. So for me...
So if I may just take you a few steps back onto the issue of the committees. I want to take you to 205 of your standing orders. 205.2. It says the Committee of Selection shall prepare and report to the House within the first 10 sitting days after appointment the list of members to compose the standing and select committees of the House. I think this was an issue we raised in the first 15 minutes of the program. And so it would appear that, have you made this 10 sitting days already?
Yeah, we have.
And you still don't have much of your standing committees. Of course, you said you have the business committee already.
Yes.
Yes, but you still don't have much of your standing committees and select committee members. So already, it would appear that we are in breach of the standing orders.
No.
Okay.
At all. Read it again.
So it says that 205.2, the Committee of Selection, which already exists.
Yes, you read.
Shall prepare and report to the House within the first 10 sitting days after appointment the list of members to compose the standing and select committees of the House.
Okay.
And we don't have that now. So I'm saying that then you are in breach of 205.2.
Parliament, for the nature and manner of its work, it's a master of its own rules. These are fashioned for a parliament that is not newly inaugurated. When a parliament is newly inaugurated, there are a lot of processes that must be had before these things are done, for instance. So where a parliament newly inaugurated, such as ours, the most important thing is that some requisite committees that are supposed to be established for certain work to be undertaken have been established and are done. So the requirement in 205.2 has been met long ago. How was it met? Because a report was prepared for the formation of the Appointments Committee.
Right.
And you will see that the Appointments Committee, for instance, the membership is so fluid. Because in 217 216, for instance, if I have your permission, if I can dig that up quickly.
You say 201?
217.
217, okay.
2176.
Let's look at that quickly.
Committee.
2176.
Yeah.
I think I got that. All right. Let's
Okay.
look at 6. Where a member of the Appointments Committee is nominated as a minister or deputy minister, the member shall cease to be a member of the Appointments Committee and be replaced by a member nominated by the leadership of the political party caucus of that member. We saw that. We saw that happen.
So, for instance, when Parliament was inaugurated, I wasn't a member of the Appointments Committee. But today I am. Why?
Because of the changes, because of 2176.
So these are all transitional. We are still in the transitional phase.
So you see, what I am saying is that it is because you are in breach of 2052.
Yeah.
That is why you did a quid pro quo with the, with the minority, so that they allow you to still vet your members without heeding to or adhering to 2052
at all.
Then when are we going to see the members of these committees?
What you are saying is damning of Parliament, and I won't allow that to stand.
All right.
Every committee of Parliament is constituted for its work when they have quorum to work. The Appointments Committee, as we speak, do we have quorum to work or not?
Absolutely.
We have. So when somebody is out there doing propaganda, that propaganda must be met with the bare facts.
Okay.
And the bare facts are that by our own standing orders, we are saying that, for instance, where the Honorable Agboja, who was until sometime in January, the majority chief whip, had become the minister of nominee for roads. So one, he must leave the Appointments Committee.
Right.
To be replaced by yours truly, who had been appointed as the new majority chief whip. That didn't end it. The Honorable Minister responsible for finance, when his nominations came, as the Minister responsible for finance, he had to leave the Appointments Committee for the Honorable Mahama Yariga, the new majority leader, to come. As we speak, the Honorable Mahama Yariga is no longer a member. He's no longer a standing member. He can only participate as a...
So what you are saying is that we don't need all the committees to be there. Once there's quorum for appointments, they can work.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
I see. All right. But let's wrap it up on the 9th Parliament so that we can look at other things.
Yeah.
What can the Ghanaian people expect from the 9th Parliament going forward?
Now, we are being taunted by the minority. They are making all sorts of funny comments. And they make those comments as if they've just not left government after 8 years. If we want to exert our powers, there will be no need for any of them to attend Parliament. Because we'll command our numbers, we'll do everything in Parliament without recourse to them. But I don't think that that's the kind of Parliament that Ghanaians want. So even though we have domineering numbers, Ghanaians still expect us to consult, to confer with them, to build consensus, so there'll always be a unity of purpose in Parliament. So where on a Friday morning you see my numbers dwindled behind me, and you go to town and say that you are a micro majority and we are a mighty minority, you are taunting the majority. If we unleash our powers, you will be thrown into oblivion. So I want to advise them using this platform that they should desist from such comments. They should know that when we are settled, we shall always dominate any matter on any day. Between Tuesday to a Friday, on any matter we shall dominate them. On any matter we shall outvote them. And where the matters are such that the Ghanaians expect an input from them, an input that should be material to the determination of the issues, their voices will be drowned. So the petty politicking must stop. Where we are gathered on a Friday to do some business, they should allow the business to go on. But above all that, Ghanaians expect that the NDC will use its numbers to roll out some far-reaching welfare policies to benefit the generality of the people. And that is what I think that we will do. I just returned from Kumasi. When we were calling this morning, we had gone to attend the funeral, the funeral rites of the late mother of the Minister for the Interior, who was incidentally my predecessor. I'd been Chief Whip of Parliament for 12 years. We had a brief chat this morning. It tells me that the future looks good, our numbers look good, but we won't use it to intimidate the minority. They are now inviting us to intimidate them. Even
but they're already saying you're
even without intimidating them, they are calling me names. They say I'm bullying them. They call me a bully. You know,
but are you bullying them? Are you bullying them?
How do I'll be very grateful, or my party people will be grateful if truly I'm bullying them, but I'm not. And yet they are saying that I'm bullying them, I bulldoze my way and all that. If we truly want to bulldoze our way, they will have no place in Parliament because of the numbers we command. But that's not what we do. They are being crying babies.
But I don't know if you have listened to public sentiment. Public sentiment wants you to show that you are the majority. Why are you struggling to do that?
We are not struggling. We are settling in.
You are settling in.
We'll show that. Okay. Those muscles will flex it. Trust me.
I see. Along the line.
Flex it.
Along the line.
Yeah.
The minority is also taking issue with the ad hoc committee that was set up to look into the matters. One of the issues they have picked up on is that the Speaker had ruled against the public hearing. Is that an issue that you know about as far as the majority caucus is concerned?
You see, this minority, you must be careful about the things they say. You know, that day I was in Parliament. I was still on suspension.
You were on suspension.
It was the day my suspension was lifted. So I listened on radio, but I heard the Speaker ask that, or made the point that the committee will continue with its work.
Right.
As to whether the continuation with its work will be in public hearing or in camera hearing, I'm unable to tell. But you see, this is a minority who first resisted the Speaker's decision. They held public press conferences and said that the Speaker had no power to do what he did. So they will not respect the decision. They've since run away from that. The committee is hearing he has no power to do what they are doing, but the committee is doing its work. And under Order 129 and 130 of our standing orders, every power to punish a disorderly conduct in our standing orders is applicable to conduct at plenary or conduct at committee level. That is why when Speaker, who is like my father figure, said this, I never whimper. This is my first media engagement ever since I was punished on Friday afternoon, last week. So it's important that we look at these matters in context,
right,
and speaking to these issues, because the ban has been lifted and I can now speak to the merits or the demerits of them.
Right.
But the most important thing is that the committee has the mandate to do what it's doing. You have a certain terms of reference to which they are working accordingly. Let's wait what its reports will
When are you
Tomorrow,
appearing on Monday?
Yeah.
Before the committee. Yeah. Now, it's not just the issue of whether or not the Speaker had directed that the hearings be done in private, but they also say that the chairperson has been prejudicial in some of the interviews that he's granted to the media so far, and it does not inspire confidence at all. You will appear before the committee. Yeah. How do you feel about the interviews that the Honourable Member Emmanuel Bejira has, the interviews he's given so far?
To be honest with you, I've not had the opportunity to listen to his interviews because as soon as I was reinstated, I had a lot of my plate is full, so I've not had the opportunity to listen to him. But if he conducted himself that comes across as being unfair to the other side, I believe it's a matter that they can raise. But for me, they can even raise it when the committee submits it's the final report. But for now, we have to allow the committee to work. But let the point be made that in Parliament, it's not a place where things are not done in a non-partisan way. Things are always partisan. Always partisan. Formation of committees, everything is always partisanly done. That is why even the formation of the committee is done on the proportion of the parties forming, constituting the numbers in Parliament. So if anybody, the things Apenyo is doing, Apenyo is not doing those things in a non-partisan manner. Apenyo asking about house numbers of nominees and going after them and asking whether the property they occupy as residential homes were acquired from the state or from individual or from private landowners. They are not things he's doing for his own sake. He's doing it for the sake of his party.
Right.
So Parliament is a very political space, and everything is done on very political lines. And me, I have come to accept that. So Apenyo's conduct, I see that he's conducting himself to benefit the MPP. And me too, in Parliament, I conduct myself to benefit the NDC and the generality of Ghanaians. I
see.
So when the NDC government brings business and the business is being torpedoed, it's my duty to ensure that it is not frustrated.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Your party rode a lot on the fight against corruption during the elections. Yes. We saw, even before President Mahama was sworn in, he has set up Team Oral to collect information on issues like this. At the same time, we also see some key high-profile issues that were being prosecuted by the previous administration now being cleared. The state is showing a disinterest in those issues. Some have gone as far as say that the NDC has activated its clearing agency. Why is that the case?
This is an attempt to even the disequilibrium, because they were labeled as clearing agents. So they are trying to look for opportunity. The NPP is looking for opportunity to even the disequilibrium by saying that we're also clearing cases. Look, Kemini, if somebody had indeed engaged in a crime punishable under law, you don't need 8 years to do that. I've been a practicing lawyer for 15 years. And I know what it means to successfully prosecute a crime that is properly, the evidence of which properly establishes the commission of the crime. You don't need 8 years. So if a group of people who cannot prosecute a crime successfully for 8 years, you expect a new government to take interest in that? In any case, what were the dockets they left behind? We should be asking the government what kind of docket they left behind. So are you saying that, given all the facts we got to know in that two-forcing case, the Republic should still be interested in prosecuting the minister responsible for finance as he is now? No, it's a total waste of the nation's resources and time. Gregory Afoko was admitted to bail by a high court. The Republic resisted, championed by the then Attorney General, and went to the Court of Appeal to have it reversed. Gregory Afoko, as we speak, is still in prison custody, all right? And yet the Republic didn't show interest in conducting his case expeditiously. Meanwhile, expeditious hearing is a constitutional right. So if today the state has come to the decision that it was a waste of resources to waste our time, resources. Look, when state attorneys go to court, it costs the nation money. When judges sit over a matter, it costs us money. When court clerks, court registrars, interpreters, all those officers, judicial officers who sit so that a court will be properly constituted for a matter to be heard, it costs us money. So if the state says, I'm no longer interested in the matter, it is the right of the state to say so.
Let's take the case of
yes.
Dr. Johnson Esiama.
Yes.
Immediately the case was dropped
Yes.
against him.
Yes.
He was given an appointment as governor of the central bank. That is suspicious, is it not?
What is suspicious about...
Well, someone who was facing a criminal prosecution, when a new government comes in, drops the case against him, then gives him an appointment as the highest office of the central bank, and you say it's not suspicious. It's suspicious.
Don't buy into such propaganda. This is the Constitution. What is the qualification for somebody to be appointed as the governor of the central bank? Tell me. Even where you are standing trial, you can be appointed as a Supreme Court judge. Are you aware?
You're telling me?
Being on trial is not a bar to serving in a public office. So being on a criminal trial, it's not a bar. Because the presumption in our criminal jurisprudence is that you are innocent until proven guilty. It is not you are guilty until proven innocent. So this propaganda that Dr. Johnson Esiama got his appointment because the criminal prosecution against him was dropped, as a result of which he became, like, in quote and unquote, a clean man to ascend to the level of governor of the central bank, is neither here nor there. In any case, Dr. Esiama is a career banker of the central bank. Career banker. Dr. Esiama joined the central bank around 1996 after his university education and rose through the ranks to the position of a second deputy governor. When the NPP came to power, they sacked him. Why? No reason was given. No reason was given. Go and check the reasons why they sacked Dr. Johnson Esiama. He was not a political appointee. In fact, Dr. Esiama was not a political, he was a career, such a fine-brained economist. Bishop Hema, University of Ghana, trained. Somebody built his career. One day they woke up in 2017, 2018, they didn't like how he looked, and they just said they were terminating his appointment. Second deputy governor.
I see.
Hold on, second deputy governor. Now, if you leave the position of second deputy governor, Kevin, where do you go? Where do you ascend to?
To the top job?
Thank you.
Okay.
So if anybody will be talking about propaganda about Dr. Esiama, the last person should be the NPP. Because they deny him from the opportunity of becoming the governor in record time. He would have become governor if the public service, as Nkrumah created it, were left intact. Today, if he's been given that recognition, it's not because somebody brought some wishy-washy criminal prosecution against him.
I see.
In the initial stages, I was part of. I took him to the police inquiry hearings a couple of times. You had to go and hear the kind of things they were looking at. You will be sad. You will be sad, the kind of things they were hounding him for. That no wonder for 8 years they couldn't make headway. And you think that as a republic we should waste our time on that?
Right, but you know, it's not only also about the case that has been dropped against him. There are questions also being raised about the process of appointment and, you know, the fact that he's gone to...
Okay, can I tackle that?
Quickly.
Okay, not quickly. I think this one, we need time.
Okay.
So because they don't have, they have decided to go after him, they are throwing in everything. So they've thrown in the prosecution bit and they are throwing in the bit that he's taking office. This government, the last government, was actually the government that gave a lot of acting portfolio status to appointees more than any other government in history. So when they say Dr. Esiama appointed under Article 183(4)(a) is incapable of holding office, the same provision in our Constitution, which is replicated in the Bank of Ghana Act 202-612 as amended by Bank of Ghana Amendment Act 918-2016, Section 17, 1A, thereabout, or 1B. Same language. The advice from the Council of State, the Supreme Court, you see, the Constitution is written, but every now and then we get the Supreme Court to straighten it. My brother Afenyo Maki, who is leading this very awkward crusade, I call it an awkward crusade, got the opportunity to litigate this matter in 2016. In Ghana Bar Association, he was the lawyer for Ghana Bar. They went to the Supreme Court to challenge the nomination of some Supreme Court judges and some other public servants. So it became a consolidated matter in 2016 with the Attorney General. The Supreme Court got the opportunity to explain the two phrases in the Constitution in this matter: pro-approval plus in consultation with. That they are not mandatorily binding on the president.
Right.
Where the Constitution says you shall appoint Kemini in consultation with Okanse. The Constitution is saying where the demander I should appoint you in consultation with Okanse, even if Okanse disagrees, the appointing authority lies in me, so I can disregard his advice and still let you appoint you or keep you in the job. So once that interpretation has come, that requirement, though mandatory, is no longer binding. So where Dr. Siama has been appointed, the formation, the proper composition or not composition of the Council of State is immaterial. He can proceed to do his official work. And then when the Council of State is installed, the advice can come by way of ratification. Meanwhile, in his own letter, in paragraph 7 of the letter, he says that in the meantime, he can receive briefings. How do you receive briefings? Would the briefings not be official briefings? So you see, they work themselves into a confusion and think that everybody else is confused. So we can go along with such thinking. It is not. So the Supreme Court in Ghana Bar Association versus the Attorney General and others in 2016.
Right. So I have to go, unfortunately, yes. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
They say they plan to report this matter to the IMF. Talk to me about that.
To report what?
The appointment of
Kemini,
Dr. Siama to the IMF.
Kemini, if you have a complaint to make to the police station against somebody, you don't advertise it. So they should stop advertising the fact that they'll go to the IMF. They should lodge the complaint and let's see the content of the complaint. It's propaganda. It's to let investors in the economy who are now seeing new managers in place and therefore are interested in the economy and taking interest and bringing their investment to suddenly realize that there's something happening. There's nothing happening. Dr. Siama has statutorily taken office. He's properly done so. He's doing his regular work. He hasn't done anything untoward. No constitutional provision has been breached. No statutory provision has been. That is why in all the press conferences they've had and the letters they've written, they haven't cited one single law. They are talking about governance. No law has been breached. So Dr. Siama is in place. Central government is properly in good hands and is being managed. I
mean, 30 days in, what can the Ghanaian people point to as far as the work of the NDC government is concerned? Quickly, then we go.
Cabinet has been formed.
Okay.
Ministers have been installed. Appointments are flowing in with alacrity. We don't have a government that will take us 1 year to even appoint DCEs. As I talk to you, by the end of this month, DCE nominations will be coming out. Unlike before, where 1 year we don't have DCEs and assemblies were suffering. Projects are being negotiated. Abandoned projects, contractors have just been instructed that they should go back to site. So this is a government that means business. That means business of resetting this country. And Kemini, you will be a big beneficiary.
I don't know what you mean about that.
The bar road to your house will be done. I know the road to your house is not good.
Thank you for coming. Roxanne Nelson Dafiamepo is South Dai MP, and he's also the government whip in Parliament. My name is Kemini Amano, and this is Hot Issues. Thanks for your company. Bye-bye.